Up next is Dave Chun, co-owner at Bend Surf, and some of you may recognize him from his KIALOA days. There is an undeniable absurdity to the existence of a surf shop in Bend, a very obvious mountain town, but in the words of surfer Gerry Lopez, surf is where you find it. The Bend Surf story started with Dave Chun needing a riverboard to surf the river wave at the Bend Whitewater Park. So he built one, and then he refined it, and then he built another, and he would sell them off to keep building the next one and support his habit. Dave has lived this story before. He and his wife Meg are former owners of KIALOA Paddles, a company they started in the backyard of Dave's parents' home in Kailua, Hawaii, and moved to Bend in 1992. KIALOA grew to have worldwide sales in stand-up paddle boards and paddles, outrigger paddles, and dragon boat paddles. So Dave, I hear you have a bit of an unpitch for us tonight. You're gonna tell us it's part pitch, it's part update, a little bit of where you're at now. I can't wait to hear more. Oh, there you are, come on up. Thanks, Aaron.
I've got props.
Can we get an wow. Nice, nice. There's another one. Those are beautiful. Thanks, Dave.
Wow. Hi. So I'm Dave Chun from Bend Surf. This isn't really a pitch. Not really looking for anything. So basically, this is here to talk to you about why simple is not a step backwards. So we opened the doors to Bend Surf on April 1st, 2021. That is April Fool's Day. Because we really understood, it seemed like the perfect day because it is absolutely absurd to open a surf shop in Bend. The question is why we did it. And a lot of the reason is because I like surfing. And, you know, we have our wave here in Bend. The other part was, when we kind of started to walk away from KIALOA, that was a huge part of our lives, the community of surfing, the community of paddling, and we kind of were changing our roles there. So a great attraction was being part of this surfing community that was welcoming us. A couple of the noisy guys in the back, that's the surfers. A couple of my friends showed up, so this is kind of nice. That's the kind of thing I wanted to be part of. So, when I'm building a surfboard, I just find this like Zen-like peace. It just connects with me so well. At the same time, when I sell a surfboard, I just feel this surge of adrenaline. And then when I get the calls from the surfers, they're telling me they had this great day on a board I built them, I just feel this high. It just keeps me coming back. The KIALOA Paddles, a company my wife Meg and I sold in 2018, we had sales reps, we had a sales team. In fact, I see one out here. We had a marketing person, we had shippers, we had consultants, we had outsourced manufacturers. It was absolutely endless, the things that we had. And me as the designer of KIALOA and the brand face, I traveled 100 days a year. I spent most of my time speccing parts, doing quality checks, writing brand scripts and blogs. I'd interact with the customers when I went to an event, but as we grew, I saw them less and less. It got to the point where we got to a size where basically we were kind of protecting my privacy and not letting people get near me. And you know, I was actually the lucky one because I actually got to do things related to paddling. Meg, in her role as CEO, basically her days were filled with, you know, financial things or talking to the attorney, you know, filing taxes, you know, and you know, she was interested in this stuff, but you know, it's really stressful, and it was just a huge time commitment on her part. So we're finishing out a 2-year work contract, and then COVID hits, and everything just shuts down. Literally, the new factory was up in Washington, and they shut down. And so they shut us down. We were working remote in Bend. So suddenly we had all this time to think about what we're going to do after KIALOA. You know, up in that time, you know, you're hanging on. This business you've had for, you know, 28 years, you're hanging on to the idea of, you know, maybe they'll hire me on as a consultant. Maybe I can get medical insurance. Maybe you have all these thoughts going through your head. But suddenly, it just drops and it ends, and you go like, well, we got to think of something else, and we got to think about the rest of our lives. We basically started Bend Surf much in the same way we started KIALOA, which is kind of like this grassroots type of thing. You know, KIALOA was, you know, special ed teacher and social worker husband. They start building outrigger paddles in their parents' backyard in Kailua, and then they moved the business to Oregon. You know, kind of like, that's utterly ridiculous, you know, because all our customers are in Hawaii. So Bend Surf started in the same way. It's a grassroots business. You know, COVID shut down. Meg, my nephew Jack, and I, we get together and we put together a small business plan, a pro forma, because we decided we wanted to investigate the idea of having a surf shop. You know, it's embarrassing to say this, but while I was under contract, I had already built a shaping bay and a glassing room in one of the KIALOA units. So, I mean, I do own the unit, so it was actually okay. So, you know, I'd already been building boards and for myself and my close friends. And that was just like how the paddle business started, you know. One of the things we talked about was our main objective was to have a local business. In our relationship, Meg and I, she is the business mind. You know, basically, I'm a throwback to a time when, you know, if your name was shoemaker or carpenter, you knew what the person did for a living. So in that sense, we tailored Bend Surf to kind of what my strengths are in business, and that is minimal. You know? So what we did was we have this plan to be simple. So one of the parts of the plan is I'm willing to work for less money. You know, one of the byproducts of being old is you basically have a lot of shit. I mean, I got a lot of stuff. I mean, I really don't need more stuff to live a comfortable life. I understand that buying more things will not make me happier. The second thing that we wanted to focus on was local customers. And the reason was we want our customer to walk in the door. We had a guy from Germany. They have a river wave there. It's called Ansbach. It's in Munich. And that's like, they claim to be the I don't know, the original river surfers. I'm sure some guy in Idaho or Colorado would dispute that. But anyway, this German guy calls us up, writes to nephew Jack, and he says, oh, we want to buy a surfboard from you, you know? And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to ship a board to Germany. And so Jack looks into it. He goes, oh, this is a hassle. We don't want to ship one to Germany. So anyway, the guy ends up having a DHL account. So we agree to it because all I got to do is put it in the box. And we agree to sell the guy the board. But basically, you know, walk in, walk out. It does not get any simpler than that. we have a near zero marketing strategy. We have a website. The purpose of the website was no wholesaler was going to sell anything to me unless I had a website. It was like verification that I was actually in business. You know, yeah, do you have a website? I'm like, what? You know, but you know, so we had to have a website. So Jack set the website up because that's not something I know anything about. Our main method of marketing is to surf. And what I do is I take a quiver of boards with me, and I loan the boards to people. You know, when people ask me, oh, do you give lessons or do you do demos? I tell them, meet me at the wave at sunrise. There's no charge, just show up. Our brand strategy is basically word of mouth. You know, we want our brand to be based on relationships and connections. And basically we do this by our 3 values. And the 3 values are, these are Hawaiian words, you know, e komo mai. And basically all are welcome at Bend Surf. You know, in surfing, there can kind of be this little bit of in-group and out-group stuff. And that's just absolute crap. You know, so we try to be really welcoming. I'll spend an hour with a customer explaining things to them, and I really enjoy that. The other one is pono, and that's the endless process of trying to do the right thing. You know, basically, I make plastic objects. I'm acutely aware of my contributions to the landfill, so we strive to be pono. Hanalike, which is working together. Basically, the community is the breath of life. There were also some personal considerations that went into opening the shop. One is I like surfing. I mean, I like surfing a lot. The other is I can't imagine a life without my shop. You know, I'm pretty highly introverted, and selling things are how I connect with people. I'm also pretty insecure, so selling things, the things that I build to people, it kind of validates my life. And to a large extent, that's why Bend Surf exists. You know, being a craftsman is how I relate to the world. The last thing is, I have a very close friend whose name is Gerry Lopez. And Gerry knows everybody in surfing and everything about surfing. And so I had a mentor going into this. In summary, we know surfers are interested in wave pools and river surfing. On Monday, Jamie O'Brien dropped a video on YouTube about surfing the Waimea River, and had 65,000 views in less than 24 hours. In Wave Pool Magazine today, I read that there are 150 to 200,000 new parks either in planning stage or being built. I'm sure all of you guys have heard about Kelly Slater's ranch. I understand there's plans for another wave to go in like Palm Springs or something like that. You know, but you know, the growth of the sport is going to follow the building of these parks. I know that. You know, there's a really nice one up in Chelan, Washington, Lakeside Surf. That thing's epic. Everybody should go there. I mean, I don't care if you surf or not, you should go there. But you know, right now we're just content to watch the growth. You know, we're kind of going to decide what we're going to do next as everything unfolds. The one thing I'm sure of at this point is that I really love building surfboards, and I really love being part of the Bend surfing community. So basically, if any of you guys want to try and surf the wave, it's really simple. Just call Bend Surf, get in touch with me, show up at sunrise, and I'll take you surfing. Thank you.
Dave, I think this was my favorite presentation anyone has ever given at EDCO. This was so touching. I appreciate your...
That's because I told you I was introverted and shy. You're just being nice to me.
Yes, I identified with everything you said except for surfing the wave because I'm terrified of it. Okay, tell us how this is a different board from a regular surfboard.
The difference in most wave pools, and I shouldn't say most, some wave pools and the Bend River wave is we don't have to paddle. Boards generally have to be larger to be able to paddle into a wave. We just step off a wall, so we can ride a much smaller board.
Just step off a wall. Not really selling it to me, Dave. Gonna say, I'm not getting less scared, but we'll keep talking. We'll keep talking. Any questions from the audience for Dave? Yes. We have a testimonial coming in hot.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. His humility is real. He is what he says he is. Then what?
Thank you.
And less.
Thank you.
He'll talk to you like you're his best friend. Say that part again. Yeah. Ask them what they want. He's the real deal. Did you know that was going to happen? Did you know that was going to happen? I feel like we're at your like 50th birthday party and everyone's like, Dave, you came through for me. Who else wants to cheer Dave? I have a question here. Thank you for that.
First, thanks for coming to share.
Thank you.
Quite a story. I really appreciate hearing it. I'm a bigger guy, and I'm wondering about board sizes. Do they accommodate, a larger man like myself, or special order of larger boards?
So do larger people require larger boards for this sport?
Somewhat. We do size them to the individual. What you're talking about is why custom shapers will always have a job. No, it's because it's like tailored clothing, basically. We fit it to the person and fit it to their skill level. So absolutely, yes.
And then it becomes an item you have, I imagine, for a very long time.
Depends how clumsy you are.
Sir, how clumsy are you? Don't answer that. Okay, question back here. Okay. So this is a does size matter question. Can large, is this wave and bend, is it accommodating to men who are 6.5?
The wave doesn't discriminate. My buddy Barry Wicks is 6'5". He basically rides a board very similar in size to what I ride. I'm 5'7".
But does he have tiny feet?
No.
Okay.
No. I did ask Barry that. Look at the size of it.
This is getting great. Any other questions? Any other questions back here? I do want to say, shout out to Gerry Lopez. What a treasure.
Yeah.
Not many people know this, but in 2014, Gerry and I were voted hottest yoga teachers in Bend, Oregon by Source Readers.
Oh, that's something.
That's a big deal.
Wow.
Dave, can't believe we haven't met yet.
You got to surf.
You know I'm going to pull random stuff out like that. It's my gift. Any other questions from the audience? Yeah. Yes, red sweater. How can the community help you, bring people to you? Great question.
Well, tell your friends. Tell them to come surfing. Tell them to give it a try. This is what I always think in my head. Like my buddies back there, like Spencer and Jay, those guys are like hotshot athletes, and they just rip on the wave. Me, I'm like an old clumsy man. I'm serious. I mean, like, you know, like I was like, when I first started, I was just like, I'm not really certain that this is going to work out because everything's kind of happening fast. But what I found out was that one is the people were really accepting of me, even though like one guy was like, Hunter, I was like, how old are you? He goes, 18. And he says, Dave, how old are you? I'm like, 65. He's like, my grandfather's 65. Just like, oh. Yeah, but just invite people to try. Anybody can do this. If I can do this, anybody can do this.
I don't know if that's a thing, Dave, but okay. Okay, Dave. Legit, is he a clumsy old man? Yeah, okay, yeah. All right, well, okay. So this is like a multi-level, there's a lot of layers going on here, Dave. Any other questions? I think I had another one back over here somewhere. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Is it realistic that a wave park or like a Kelly Slater type wave might come to Bend?
Is it realistic that a Kelly Slater type wave park might come to Bend someday?
Earlier in the week, I would have said no. As of today, that's a maybe.
What happened today,
okay,
Dave?
So I talked to Aaron. A wave like Kelly Slater's wave, I don't believe that would come to Bend. And there's a couple of reasons why. Mainly, it has to do with you can't run it year-round over here. So like, and I think what that type of wave, Kelly Slater's wave is, the pool is 700 yards long. It's big. It's not like a wave pool up in Lakeside Surf in Chelan. That one's like a big swimming pool. That could be here. But Kelly's wave, probably not. The other thing that I think, the reason Kelly's wave works in Lemoore, California, which is like in the farmlands, right, is it's about, like 2 hours from Los Angeles. You can drive it. So you need to be able to have that type of wave, Kelly's, near a place where you got people with lots of money. It costs about $50,000 to $70,000 a day to rent Kelly's wave. Even with $50,000 to $70,000, you can't just sign up. You got to know somebody who knows the guy who might get you into signing up. It's like really super exclusive. But the type of wave they have up in Lakeside, it's like tourists. They go to Chelan. All of us in Bend are driving 6.5 hours to go ride that wave because it's such an epic wave. Like, I don't mean to demean our wave, but our wave's a 1 compared to theirs, which is a 10.
Wow. Wow, Dave, you just threw down so hard on our wave. And let me get this straight. People are driving 2 hours away from the coast to surf. That's where we're at. 1.5, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll give it 1.5.
Thank you. I've walked past it a number of times, and I hear it's a great place to meet dudes.
Yeah.
So just another hot tip for y'all.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I really would just love for you to keep talking. I hope you will come back at some point, but I'm wondering, any other questions for Dave while he's here? Yes. You want to give some more props to Dave? That's cool. Is it true? Wait, that you got to go to where? Lemoore? Kelly Slater's wave. Okay, thank you.
Allegedly.
Was it true that you got to go to, so did you get in? You got to go to Kelly Slater's wave during the pandemic? You knew someone who knew someone? You drove 2 hours from the coast and then?
I know, I know Lopez. I surf with Gerry.
It's a thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it true you're 1 degree away from the Grateful Dead? We are going.
Maybe. Yeah.
Is it true your name is Stewie? Did I meet you at a wedding on July 24th? You told me a bunch of wacky stories? Yes, I did. Nice to see you again. Wow, this is special. I just got chills.
I think he means Eddie Vedder. Yeah, right?
Hey, you know what? I have a friend who almost ran over Dave Matthews at the University Village in Seattle. What other stories can we tell tonight?
Yeah. So I'm sitting in the lineup at Kelly's. Every wave is worth about $500. And it's like, it's so nerve-wracking. You hear this thing, they call out the wave. There's like CT1, CT2. That means championship tour. That's the barreling wave. So I hear this, CT1, and then all of a sudden you hear the thing whirling up. It's the motor, the cable on this thing. And, you know, it's so nerve-wracking. You miss the wave, and you know, they only generate a wave every 4 minutes. So you're going to wait out there for, I don't know, another half hour. And in an hour, you might get to surf 3-4 waves. You get very few shots of this. I've driven 12 hours. I may only get 4 waves. You don't want to screw up. So here's Eddie Vedder, and he's talking to me, you know. He introduced himself as Ed, and I kind of didn't know who he was. So he's sitting there, and he's telling me, he's like, you know, don't worry, everybody gets nervous at this thing, you know, and he's being really calming, you know, and it's like, you know, it's really hard to learn how to surf on this wave. It has a lot of idiosyncrasies, you know, and I'm sitting here thinking, God, this is so cool. Eddie Vedder is kind of trying to calm me down. Hey, and the next time I play somewhere near you, you know, I'll give you some tickets. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. But, you know, I feel so out of place because, you know, I'm not that guy. Yeah. Anyhow, that's the Eddie Vedder story. He is truly a nice guy.
I mean, I imagine you're in this thing. You're surrounded by cool people. These are cool people you're surrounded by. Like, it's extremely nerve-wracking.
Cool people and really good surfers. So, like, everybody there is just like, well, one is they're like 30 or younger. And then the other one is like, they're all these industry giants. And, you know, like, I'm like, what do you do? Like, I make surfboards in Bend, Oregon.
No, that's the coolest. Come on,
Like,
Dave. That's the coolest. People.
No.
Come on, people would kill to move to Bend, Oregon to build surfboards. You're living the dream. I'm so
Yeah.
proud of you.
I don't know, not to that crowd.
Well, you know what? They're lost. So there's something happening in the chicken line at the next room over. You guys have a question over there, or you just dropped it into the gravy? What's happening with the microphone? Was there a question in the second room? No, okay, we're just, wow. Last chance, final questions. Okay, Dave, such an honor. Thank you so much.